everyone, and welcome back to my channel, Girl Gone Crypto. I am so excited. I've been wanting to get Jason on the show here for a while. Coin Payments, he's a CEO of Coin Payments, and as a lot of you guys have known, I've started doing some work with them to make some tutorial videos for their channel, and so I've been really excited to bring you on to my channel just to get to talk a little bit more about crypto payment processing. So Jason, thank you so much for coming on the show today.
Thanks for having me, Leah. It's great to be here.
So merchants accepting crypto and people being able to actually use their crypto as a currency in the real world is a really big topic in the industry right now. And it is really something that I think a lot of people are touting as one of the big vehicles that will help bring us to adoption. And so Coin Payments was the first crypto payment processor and is still the largest today. And so maybe just to kick off, tell us a little bit about what Coin Payments is.
Sure. So yeah, as you mentioned, originally we started the business. It was intended to actually be used to accept crypto ourselves in the business, and the founders, the idea of it was wanted to accept altcoins as a form of payment. And quickly, actually quite rapidly, there was a sort of a word in the street that they had this platform, and that's really how it started. So today we process and facilitate merchants in about 180 countries, and we process well over $100 million a month. The last few months, we've been over 130 million a month. So we have clients around the world. Definitely seen a rapid growth over the last couple of years, but even just in the last quarter, we saw about a 30% increase in business. So I think, like you were saying, the adoption process, we're definitely seeing more interest in cryptocurrencies as a form of payment, both from merchants, but also from an industry of different industries that are accepting forms of payment that are alternative forms. So of course they want the business, they want the clientele, but they also want an easier method of cross-border transactions. They want more B2B services that are having challenges, say, accepting Visa or MasterCard or international wires. So I think the digital payment movement is drastically affecting the effect that, and positively affecting that, giving the opportunity for crypto to have a big play. So and that's where we're seeing a big movement in our business. More usage of stable coins, for example, than we've seen before. So there's a lot more movement in payments in stable currency. And yeah, it's very exciting to see for sure.
So now you mentioned, being able to accept altcoins, and you guys have the largest variety of altcoins. You have almost 2,000 altcoins that you accept. And so I'm just kind of curious, what are the top coins and currencies that you guys see that people want to accept? Like, is it mainly Bitcoin, or do you see a pretty good spread of different altcoins in there as well?
So there's a couple of differences. So as an example, we support 1900 plus almost 2000 currencies within our digital wallet. So as a user or a merchant, you can store those assets as a asset in your wallet. As far as accepting a payment, we're supporting about 130 or so of them as actual payment sources, and those payment sources can still be transfers to your wallet, etc. But within our APIs and with our payment platform systems, there's about 130 of them or so. Now we see pretty much the top 10 sort of cryptos. If you look at CoinMarketCap, you'll see those top 10, which are still the number ones that are transferred or paid as or used as payment facilities. Well, we have seen a dramatic shift, probably about a 20% difference where it was maybe even a year ago, is in platforms like USDT, where we're seeing much more growth and advancement in people's adoption or use as a form of payment. And still BTC is number one for sure. And we don't actively promote any coin. We don't suggest or direct anybody to use a specific type of token or coin as a form of payment. And really, if you think about it, if you're a merchant and you want to accept a payment from someone, they're going to usually pay in whatever they have. So even if they have a Visa card, they're going to pay with a Visa card if you accept it. But if you have an Amex and they don't accept Amex, they're not going to do it. But if you have a Dogecoin, for example, and you want to use your Doge as a form of payment, and lots of people pay with Doge, they really do. It's an interesting market, but they do. So, or if you're a BCH or you have these assets as the asset that you have that you want to make a payment in, that's usually what we see. So we suggest to a merchant to accept all types of payments. And at that time, we can convert if they want to hold BTC or they want to hold in USDT. Our platform has the ability to auto convert into that token and that asset. And soon we'll be able to auto convert it into a fiat if they want as well, and let them store it in their digital bank account with us.
Interesting. Okay, I'm glad you brought that up because that was something I wanted to chat about was the whole auto conversion feature because I would imagine that would make it easier for merchants to feel comfortable accepting all these different coins knowing they can get it funneled back into BTC or like you said even eventually fiat. So maybe tell us a little bit more about how that program works and right now how do people convert the BTC or the crypto they get into fiat if they need to?
Sure. So we'll start with the crypto to crypto side of things. So internally in our wallet platform, which is actually run by our service provider, that's HODL HODL is the custodial of the wallet. So if you're holding the assets in your custodial wallet, you have the option of auto converting, or just whenever you want to convert the coins, you can convert from one coin to another coin. And we use liquidity providers, service providers, exchanges. And those platform providers provide the opportunity for that person or the individual merchant to convert from one crypto to another. Now that crypto automatically goes into their same custodial account. And at that point, say they convert from, like I said earlier, Doge or Litecoin to BTC. And that BTC is held in their account under custodial that we hold. And at that point, if they want to exchange it into fiat, currently we have a few different integrations. One is into SendWire, which is a service provider that we work with in the US. It's even integrated directly into Coinbase, and we're also integrated into CoinMotion in Europe. So if somebody already has those accounts and or they have an account in their exchange, they can simply convert the currency or their asset into a fiat currency through those service providers. And soon we've just signed a deal with Prime Trust in the US, which we will soon be able to provide the crypto to fiat directly into our own digital accounts and fiat accounts within our platform, and you'll go from there to be able to settle the funds directly to your bank account.
Got it. Now, I want to touch on a little bit this move that you're seeing more towards stable coins. You mentioned USDT. Why do you think that businesses are becoming more interested in that? Is it because of the fluctuation of price? And do you think we're going to continue seeing that trend moving forward?
So, as I mentioned earlier, I think that a merchant is open to accepting, they should be open to accepting any kind of payment. It could be a crypto, it could be a stored value card, it could be a gift card, it could be whatever the method of payment. If I'm a merchant, I should be open to accepting any type of payment. I think it's on the other side where the buyer is more comfortable with paying for their product or service in a stable currency. So if it's a USDT, for example, and they know that they're paying for a bill that's $100 or $1,000, they're paying the bill in that currency. But if I spend, say, my BTC, and my BTC today is, or let's go back 2 weeks, and my BTC was $9,000 and now it's $12,000. In fact, that same purchase cost me like 20% more. So I think there is a transition, I guess, in the overall space. And if you have a broader adoption, the broader adoption of crypto will mean that more and more people understand the simplicity of a stable currency or a stable value. Now, there's lots of people who understand fluctuation and they work off the fluctuation, and it's great for crypto because you can buy crypto and you're hedging or you're speculating, and it's fantastic. It's an opportunity for people to really earn money, or potentially the opposite way. But I think in the overall payment space, if I'm making a purchase, I want to know that I'm making that purchase for the cost of what they're saying the cost is. And if it fluctuates so much, both on the buyer side as well as on the merchant side, if I'm selling a product for, say, $100 and I know my cost is $80, if the cost that I'm getting goes down 20%, I'm in essence not making any money, and in fact maybe losing money. So there is an adoption process, which I think is great, by having stable coins as an option for people to make payments in, especially if they're holding it. So some people might invest in Bitcoin, for example, and then maybe hold half of their value in Bitcoin as a speculation, and then half of it into USDT or another stable value, which they can use as payments or as remittances or whichever they want to do. So I think that's where we're going to see a lot of growth for sure.
So now what kind of trends are you seeing in terms of the types of merchants that are becoming more interested in accepting crypto? Is it a lot of like online shops? Are you seeing more like kind of like food and beverage industry types of merchants wanting to accept crypto? So what have those trends looked like recently, and where do you see that kind of going in the next few years?
Well, you probably saw the news where Travelocity, I guess, or Expedia with the Travala Group, they announced their partnership where they've announced where people can buy travel with crypto. That's a pretty big shift. A couple of years ago, most places were really not open to that or looking for that. I think probably because of regulation, one, which has opened up a lot of opportunities, and also the conversion and access to the fiat, converting from crypto to fiat wasn't so readily available a couple of years ago. So I think a major shift in major retailers like the travel industry for sure, and the hotel industry, you're seeing a lot more people open to it, or major hotel chains or groups. Of course, nobody's really traveling supposedly right now
Right.
because of lockdown, but we're also seeing a lot more audiences from the payment service providers industry. So people that are traditionally providing payment terminals for retailers, both in person and also online, they're adopting and adapting to adding crypto as a form of payment. So around the world, there's probably 450 types of payments, methods of payment, and it sounds like a lot, and there really is. It's supporting everything from the ACH payments to credit card payments to wires and electronic payments and EFTs and prepaid cards. There's literally 400 plus types of payments. And really in the crypto space, we support 1900, and every one of those coins is a different type of payment, but it's still
Right.
a crypto payment. So I think what we're seeing and some of the conversations that we're having is a lot of those payment service providers who have provided a terminal to a merchant in retail, or they provided a merchant account online, are all have started approaching us, for example, about who do we partner with, who do we work with, and can we work with you to offer these services to our clients. That's a major shift, and the only reason they're doing that, in my view, is they see the shift in things like PayPal and Stripe and Square and other audiences. Even Bank of America is saying that they're selling crypto or allowing people to buy and sell
Right.
crypto accounts. So I think there's a bit of adoption process that's happened, but there's also a demand and a request from their merchants who we may not ever be able to contact directly, but they already have relationships. So, like a conversation I had with a group out of India this morning, they're moving head on full forward with it, and their merchants are already asking them as a payment service to adopt crypto and to be able to facilitate shopping cart plugins and
Wow.
APIs and things. And that's all the things that we supply. So as a technology company, as a payment service provider, we're seeing a tremendous amount of shift for sure in the overall adoption.
Now, what kind of barriers do you think that our industry needs to overcome for more merchants to want to accept crypto? So, at Coin Payments, like, what are some of the biggest objections you guys hear from people and from merchants that you think we as an industry need to improve on?
Well, there's a big education process situation for sure, right? There's still the doom and gloom look at a couple of years ago where there was ICOs running, or people were doing stuff like, oh, it's a big hype thing, and I think there's that perception. Negative news tends to travel far greater and far faster than positive news, and so I think there's still a concern or worry or a misunderstanding of what cryptocurrency actually is. And they think that it's a scam, or it's not doesn't have any intrinsic value or whatever. But the fact is, I think with education and with an understanding that, hey, I can accept this as a form of payment, and it's regulated and it's supported, and when they take that money to their bank, the bank will actually accept it. That's a huge difference. So some of the challenges today we have is merchants will want to accept it, but they don't know how to convert it or get access to it. So there's still a significant level of challenge of getting those assets into their hands, as in physical money, so that they can pay for it with their further services in their business. So there's that. The other side is their suppliers may not accept crypto. So if you work in an industry, I don't know, say you're buying and selling beauty supplies, right? And you want to sell it online, and you want somebody to pay for the products in crypto. That's great. You've accepted crypto, but your suppliers are not accepting crypto. Your delivery people are not accepting crypto. Your distribution and all the areas. So as more people get more adopted to it, and they more people accept it, that industry and that economy ecosystem will get bigger and bigger and bigger. So that's one of the holdbacks, I think, is the ecosystems haven't adopted to accepting that form of payment. But I also look at it the same way as, if I'm Canadian, which I'm Canadian, you're half Canadian. Right. You take a Canadian dollar, you can't spend that Canadian dollar anywhere except in Canada, because that's the ecosystem. That's the Canadian dollar ecosystem. And if you take the US dollar, you can pretty much spend it in most places. Not everywhere, but you can probably pretty much take it anywhere and spend it pretty much anywhere, because they have an understanding. So that ecosystem has been developed and understood. Now that's changing. It's changing quite dramatically. It's changing in business to business markets, where the groups like China and Russia are eliminating the use or need for the US dollar, which changes the openness of that ecosystem. So I think we'll start seeing more and more adoption to digital currencies and a digital form of payment, whether it's always crypto or not. I think this major shift is definitely going to go to digital payments.
So now, speaking of adoption, not everyone in the blockchain industry agrees that merchant adoption and spending crypto is a good thing. Some people say that we should just hold Bitcoin as a store of value and not spend it. Like, what would you say to those people, and why do you think that merchant adoption of crypto is an important step for adoption?
Well, it's interesting you say that, because I hear the opposite side. I hear the people who are in the Bitcoin industry say we need more adoption, and people just to spend it, because then it would be more adopted, right? Which in some ways is true. They're just not looking at it as, okay, well, I'm a merchant and I'm selling a product for 100 and it's going to cost me 80. So I don't want to accept something I'm going to lose money on. But I think you need to have usage in order to create adoption. Right. I relate this to lots of different people in the industry, and this goes to credit card processing. But many years ago, you would always see a Visa sign accepted in stores. Right? You go to a restaurant, you'd see Visa accepted, but no MasterCard. Right. So not many people had a MasterCard, because the fact is you had a MasterCard, you couldn't really spend it anywhere. There wasn't adoption. So MasterCard had to focus on building the merchant adoption, so that when they would issue a MasterCard at the bank or the service provider, the individual who received it knew they could spend it. So if you don't get the merchant adoption, or the adoption of industry or groups or people to use a product, you're never going to get the other side. So it's hugely important to get adoption in order to create some ecosystem that allows for the exchange of value. And whether you are using Bitcoin, or you're using Ethereum, or using USDT, or you're using a gift card, or your loyalty points from your card, or your airline, whatever the stored value is, it's always a stored value. Until you exchange it with somebody, it's that point and it's an exchange of value. And that's where the adoption is. And the adoption is required for people to accept it in order for that to actually happen. And we're seeing that. Lots of regulation, which is good. Some people in the crypto or blockchain distributed area don't like regulation per se, but I think it's really important for global trust, for sure.
Well, Jason, we could keep going. There's so many aspects to merchant adoption, and to talking about coin payments itself and all of the different features you guys offer. Like you mentioned gift cards. You guys can allow people to purchase gift cards with their crypto. So maybe I'll have to have you on again sometime in the future to follow up, to dig even deeper.
Sure.
So